to Polymer Clay TV. I'm Elisa, and today I'm in my home studio because it's pouring outside and I didn't want to run out there and get drenched and have everything that I had to take with me get drenched. So I'm in here. The lighting may not be as good, but we're going to make it work today. So what I'm doing is working with some magic transfer paper. And this is just one of the designs. We have tons of designs in the shop. This is the leaves and grass. And actually this is what we're going to do today. We're going to create this design, which is actually the Flexie in the open circles with the magic transfer paper in the spaces. So how I did that is I rolled out my clay and conditioned it, and it doesn't matter what thickness. This is all, you know, geared towards whatever you decide to do with the project, the thickness. It doesn't matter when you're creating this. So I have a Flexie, which is a flexible stamp that we manufacture. And first I want to make sure that that's put down nicely. So I want to make sure there's no air pockets in between the Flexie and my clay. And I'm using white today just so you can see, but you do this on other colors, and I have. So anyways, now I'm going to take, you cut out the design, and that goes face down on top of the Flexie. Because what we're trying to do is we're trying to get the design to transfer inside of the stencil openings. So you'll see that when I go to remove the magic transfer paper, that there'll be paper on top of the Flexie that'll come right off, obviously, with the design. So it might look like your design's coming off and you're like, oh gosh, here comes the design, but that's actually just the design that's on top of the Flexie. So no need to worry. It'll still stick to the clay. So in order to get it to stick, you have to work it with this, because you want to make sure that it gets into those little spots, and the best way to do that is to use your finger. So I kind of just rub my finger. After I roll it with the roller, I rub my finger so that I know that I'm making that the magic transfer paper is making contact with my clay. And once I have that, then I want to just let the paper sit on it for a little bit, and you'll see that the paper starts to kind of soak up the oils in the clay. And when it does that, then it's ready to go. And let me show you a tip here as well. When I go to pick up this clay with my blade, if the transfer paper buckles anywhere, then it's not ready to be transferred. Meaning, like when you move it, it moves as well, then it's not ready, because it's not stuck enough. However, if you pick it up and it's not moving, then you can tell then that it's ready to be transferred. And you know, it only takes a few minutes, but the rubbing part is the most essential with this technique, because if you don't make sure that it gets in all of the different, you know, parts of the stencil, excuse me. I'm used to saying silk screen, but this stencil, if you don't make sure it gets in between all those little pieces, then, you know, what's the point of the effect? It's not going to work right. So let me just show you real fast. I'm going to get dirty because this piece gets me dirty every time I touch it. I got to fire it. But I made this piece here by doing the same technique with the same Flexie stencil. And now I'm going to make this into a necklace by hanging this. So you can keep going and elaborating. And I used the mandala builders, and these are some silk screens. These are actually silk screens. And right now we have 3 designs, but we have more planned. And so I made those and kind of just built up that pendant. But just for the technique, that's all I'm showing you today is the technique, so that you can then go crazy and do your own fun things. And if you are subscribed to the Create Along box, we usually put magic transfer paper into the box, which is always nice because they're really fun. It's so easy to do. So let's do it. All right. Now, there are several ways you can do this. You can start by dripping water on. And for this purpose, I think that's where I'm going. You know, I'm just going to drip water, maybe pour a little on. But you can run it under the faucet. It's easier this way now. And with the stencil, I kind of really like to do it this way rather than run it under the faucet. Because right now, I just want to make sure that all that ink actually stays on the clay. Now you see here on the edge of the Flexie, all this is going to wipe right away, and you're going to be like, oh no, I ruined it. No, you didn't ruin it, because that's not going to stick because it's not the clay. So just remember that part and don't get freaked out by it. And you can pour a little on if you want. So I generally will let it sit there for a minute, you know, maybe not even a minute, just a few seconds before I start to wipe it off. And if it's not wet enough, add a little more water, because what you're doing is you're rinsing away the paper and you're leaving that design on the clay, but through this stencil, so you get a really fun, unique look. And, you know, we call it magic transfer paper because it works like magic. Look at how easy. So just use your finger, wipe it off, and that's all there really is to it. You get, there's cellulose in it, so that's what this is. I know it looks kind of gross, but it's neat. You can see it come off, so at least you know that, you know, the paper has been removed. And you can go over it a couple times, you know, with your finger. You don't want to gouge it or anything, just a light little thing, a light little touch. Now, I kind of leave it alone at this point. I don't try to get every single piece of the paper off. I set it aside, and if there's any that are still there after it dries, then I run it under the faucet, and you won't have any issues at all. So let's do the reveal. Yay! Okay, so we start peeling back, and I do this slowly in case there's any of the fibers still on there, which there usually is. That way I don't pull it or distort it or whatever, so I just peel it back slowly. And you'll see that the actual design is now transferred to the clay in between the parts of the stencil. So it might be a little hard to see at this point. And you'll pick up your stencil and there'll be all this, you know, black from the ink. You can just rinse it with soap and water. So that's no problem. It's just the extra paper and the cellulose. Okay, so let me show you now. Okay, let me set this aside. Some of the things I did. So this one here was done with the flower Flexie, the large flower Flexie. And it was white. You can see it was on the white shimmery clay that has like the little glitter in it. And I just used, and I actually did this when this was wet. You know, when it was still wet, like at this stage of the one we just did. And I just brushed on some pan pastels. So since this is still wet, let's play with that. Okay, so let's go with some turquoise. Oops, that's not turquoise, this one is. So I just took my finger and kind of rub it. And this is what brings out the fact that you can see that the stencil was there even better. And I like using the pan pastels on something that's wet as well. I don't know how many of you have done that, but you know, it's not as intense and you get more of like a watercolor kind of look to it, which is really nice. And so you can just continue to play with it, you know, and add colors if you want, funk it up, make it look old. And if you don't like it, you know what? Dip some water in it and dilute it. That's what I do. And kind of just do it until you do like it. Use baby wipes, use your hands. You know, I like it. I like the idea of doing it while it's still wet, because then you can still manipulate it. And you're not, you know, getting this such an intense, and you can get a really nice kind of like grungy look to that. Isn't that cool? And it's so simple to do. And, you know, you can make all kinds of things with it after, you know, you're done and it's dry. And really, the sky is the limit with this technique. Let me just show you. I don't think I showed you this one. This was the wild things. And this was just on scrap clay I had sitting around. So I used the rhombus, which is this one here. This rhombus Flexie. I used the rhombus Flexie and then the wild things, and I got this really cool look. I did not add any kind of pan pastels to it, but we can now to see what it looks like. You probably won't see it that much on the, but it picks up when you add the pan pastel. It picks up kind of the rhombus. You can see the design more of the stencil rather than when it's just kind of sitting here. And like I said, I did it before when it was wet, and I like doing it better wet, but just want to show you here the rhombus. So you get an idea of what the design looks like in the rhombus. So that's really all there is to it. I mean, you can totally make fun stuff. This is a pen that I made. Like I said, I added the pan pastel to it and got a really cool look there. And again, I showed you this one. That's the one I had done earlier. And this one was done with the leaves and grass magic transfer paper with the open circle Flexie. And this one was the open circle Flexie with the swirly curly magic transfer paper. And this one was from the Butterfly Bollywood magic transfer paper. And the flower, the large flower Flexie. The large flower. There you go, those two. So really, it's a simple technique, and you can do a lot of really cool, fun things with it. So have fun with this technique, and I can tell you that this Sunday there is going to be a fun freebie for those who are sign up for our newsletter. You'll find out about it. But we are giving away a magic transfer paper with purchase, and there'll be more details on it when we send out the newsletter. But stay tuned for that. That's gonna kick off on this Sunday, which is actually Father's Day. Maybe it'll be even earlier if you're signed up for our app. And if you're not signed up for our app, go ahead and download it. I'll put a link below. Download it, and we are going to give first dibs to our app people for all kinds of stuff. So you definitely want to be signed up. It's free and easy to download. You don't have to have iTunes or anything like that. It's not in a marketplace. All you do is click the download button and it'll download to your phone. And I think just your phone. I don't know that it works on an iPad, but you can certainly try it. So I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you have fun with magic transfer paper and make lots of really cool things. And if you do make stuff, come show it to us in polymerclaytribe.com, which is our Facebook group, and we'd love to see it. So I'll see you next time. Thanks so much for joining me.